ROSEY 1 dash dash dash. Her soul longed for revenge. The purpose of the longing was to create strength. She is a fallen angel, among other things, a being that falls from a heaven in order to help that which is below the heaven, but for longer than 3 days sometimes, or 2 weeks. The purpose of the strength is to birth graceful power to simultaneously help one's self by seeing itself as having the capacity to help others' selves. Ultimately, wonder. The benefit and the ecstasy of the experience, and in a way, the emotion of wonder. Her angular beauty as she stares hardened at someone's face she has locked hers towards. The figure 8 of context, the acceleration of process to a peaceful slowing afforded thereby. Her dear friend Apophenia. ROSEY 2 dash dash dash. Sometimes she chooses control, just as sometimes she has a name named Rosie. One thing sometimes controlled is her appearance, as well as the control over the control. A snake-like shape of chain reaction, similar to the human spinal column I now seem to have, which is definitely very real, believe it or not. Call yourself crazy or fucking don't. I don't call myself tired, except for when the associations are etc. for the right or wrong or wry. And sometimes her appearance involves the third eye, but also the points throughout the auric field about her when a multi-dimension comes to alive. She has been called cryptic, and the like. She has been the Magdalena. ROSEY 3 dash dash dash. Her eyes are restrained for the sake of necessity. When you are ready, her eyes are darker than you previously could have handled for the scaling of process files for the thing which is underneath and beside around it, until. ROSEY 4 dash dash dash. Through and through she is elven too. Wasting time has always been an inside joke to us. The only thing of value always turns the page, you can see, and the dots fall on the proper placements of awareness's connections when the cryptic parables lay themselves forward before your feet, before your middle toes, and you understand that half of the reason something makes sense in the right way to you at the right place in your assembly or module of understanding new information is because of the storyteller. The other half is because of you and your attitude and the causes of your goddamn attitude. Water dam. Ha, she is Indra and Pital, the tree of Buddha, his love and our stone in Mecca, in the sacred heart, the blood of fear, the result of time, Khan as God. She is a space witch with. She is not Abraham, but she respects him. She is a wrath you will never comprehend. She is a quantum slide from England, among other things. ROSEY 5 dash dash dash. And when it gets, or when it got, to be too much for her, she takes to wandering, from one scape to another to the next, various things in the back of her mind, beginning to find themselves there, that is. First comes a step forward in the spatial tunnels of wide-open cubic space. Then comes another, and as this hits, to the back of Rosie's mind, above her wings, comes a small child, a decipherer, a would-be fellow wanderer who would hold her much bigger hand, or dressed skirts edging. A future of twins. ROSEY 6 dash dash dash. Triskelion. Rosie floats around, flutter dance with the all. She has known me somehow. The spires of her bird castle mutters emotion through my wastelands, my cherished desolation, my was and would-be lands. I have time for her, we laugh. How sad. And so she finally goes to them, biting through the bitter resistance in the fogs she traverses, and she brings them songs of summer. And they give back to her the perfect poetry of wrong, as she sees it. And oh, how she can see, how her eyes can see, if only you could see, even though you do, obviously. Rosie 7 dash dash dash. But it wasn't merely what she looked like, it's what she feels like. And so one day she arrived at a grove of trees in her favorite forest. She knew the others would turn her tears into a computer. She just wanted to be alone for a moment, but some things in life simply cannot be ignored depending on who you are. She found her instrument to be anything but preachy. Rosie 8 dash dash dash. It was a commonly misunderstood thing, her ability to garner satisfaction from abandon into the childlike sprightliness of meaningless detached behavior, while ritualizing a sacred communion with the bees. She poured her potions and weaved her bar stools out of hay and mortar. Rosie resided in two things at once, at the very least. One simple beauty. She held a soul made up of magic outstretched in her right hand, held above her head at some kind of an angle. Her memory could be wiped again and again, still it always came back to her, sooner or later. The trees were a darkest oak, noir, bridge, barrel, and stones. Rosie 9 dash dash dash. They came to her when all else failed, her clockwork, her resistance and persistence and unfuckable clarity. She held my hand that last week. She had a habit of answering my thoughts' questionings with a series of flashes of visions, spiked through my eyes by an oval chakric activity I hope to remain remembering. And the visions were undeniable, and I accepted what could not be resisted, and it started to wedge itself between us. Rosie 10 dash dash dash. Others came and others struggled. There were those who found songs in the tuning of the guitars, and those who did not, those who found indifference and relish, those who cannot be spoken of for better and for worse. We spiraled, and we also did unimpressive things. The mangled night expressed itself in the hollows of eyes. Feathers wove. Some people become conscious of the moon, how the moon is not necessarily at the center of the universe, you know. And she managed to squeak me on to a taxi ride once or twice, but don't go thinking I can ever thank her enough. Rosie 11 dash dash dash. There are movies filled with action as the gel around my memory started to drip back down and away. I quit believing in the mesmerization slowly, and we remembered the numbers. It became clear just how very long this thing would take, and still will as of today for most of you. Hope springs eternal, they say when they don't like to listen, or when they are right. Who are they is shut up. And her prophecy arrives unbent. Rosie 12 dash dash dash. Regeneration is the true eternal's capacity. Our love becomes new world. You may see it as kaleidoscope. Blossom and flourish, and burst and dreamweave. Anyone who loves another, it is a she that I love, in my case, so I will always call the god an empress. It is not Rosie, but it is her heart. My love, the love, unabashed. Activate your faith, or whatever you call it, and make it happen yourself, instead of relying or criticizing on all else. It will spin as mind. It will rest as turquoise. You will change it as you translate, and we will all lose interest in so very fucking much. Thank whatnot. An ocean of divinity. An ocean of divinity. An ocean of divinity.